What is good, guys? It is Monster Chappie, and we're back today to give you guys a Dallas Mavericks breakdown for NBA 2K for the PS4. And we'll go ahead and dive right into it. Got a lot to cover in a little bit of time. So as far as the lineups I like to go with, and I'll explain it in a second, I like to start Calderon, Ellis, Carter, Dirk, and Dallenberg. And off the bench, I like to have Harris, Ellington, Crowder, Marion, and Wright. And first off, let's establish some of the pluses and minuses of the Dallas Mavericks. First off, the big negative for them is defense. Like, they're not there. They're not a Pacers or a team like that. They lack defense. So let me say that first. Secondly, they're not the tallest team. Yes, Dirk and those guys have decent height, but at the guard spots and at the forward spots, the 1 through 3, they're smaller relative to some of the other teams in the game. They don't have the 6'9" small forwards. Most of the guys are going to be 6'6", 6'4", 6'1", so you're going to be kind of small at the 1 through 3 compared to some of the other teams in the league. With that being said, where do they make up for these faults? The defense and the size and those types of things and the lack of athletic ability compared to some of the elite teams in the game. They can shoot. They can shoot lights out. And they could shoot through the 1 through 4 positions, so that means point guard to power forward, all of them can shoot three-pointers, at least at a 79 rating, if you go with the lineups I have selected, which is one of the reasons I selected them. Because they lack defense, I want to make sure they make up for it on the offensive end. Now, as far as why, I start a Calderon over a Harris, or I bench Harris, or, I start a Carter over a Marion, and those types of things, it's mainly to get the matchups that we want, and also because we want to make sure that we are maximizing our offensive potential. If they could just sit in the paint with a power forward because we got Wright and let's say Blair in there, that's going to be an issue because it's going to clog the paint up. Another thing is we don't want to have all our ball handlers in and then all of our shooters in another lineup. We kind of want to mix between the two. Calderon is going to be our shooter in our starting lineup, and Ellis and Carter are going to be our ball handlers. And on the bench, Ellington is going to be our shooter, where Harris is going to be our ball handler, and Crowder can do a little bit of both. So, he's kind of nice. He can actually be a really good slasher for your team. Now, as far as the biggest offensive weapon you have, most people think right away it's Dirk, but I think Dirk is the second best option. And I'm going to sound crazy here, but just bear in mind what I'm about to tell you is related to NBA 2K and not real life. Vince Carter is the guy. And, as mad as that may sound, and I'm going to explain Dirk in a second here, but Vince Carter can dribble. He can, do okay defensively, but mainly offensively. He can dribble the ball well. He can drive. He plays like a young Vince Carter. He is very, very athletic. He will dunk. He can catch oops, all that good stuff. And on top of that all, he can shoot mid-range. He can shoot it deep. So he can just do a little bit of everything on the offensive end of the ball. And, he's definitely a huge weapon to have offensively. Now, if we look at Dirk and Ellis, which are going to be our next two best offensive weapons, Dirk has a very, very slow shot release, which sucks. Like, it's extremely slow. It's to the point where he will get a lot of his shots blocked, even though he's 7 feet, just because the release is so slow. Like, it's one of the slowest shot releases in the game for any of the effective players. So that's a big issue for Dirk. As far as Ellis goes, he's a great scorer too. He just doesn't seem to be able to shoot as good as Vince. So that's the big difference there. But, those two are definitely going to be your main ball handlers as far as offense goes. And you're going to want to run your offense around those three guys. And just know that your 1 through 4 can all shoot three-point shots if given the chance and opportunity and your opponent leaves them. Now, as far as Dallenberg and Wright goes, these guys are the cleanup guys. These are the Kendrick Perkins of the team. Both of them have around 90 block. And if you play zone, they're great to have in the paint. If you play man, they're great to sag off because a lot of centers in the league can't shoot. And they can really be a havoc and problem in the paint where the Mavs, again, are kind of weak because they're a weak defensive team. But they can definitely more than make up for it, and they can be the anchor for your defense. And with that being said, they're also the cleanup guys. Those are the guys that are going to get your rebounds. And offensively, you're not going to go to them too often. But if you're playing the type of person who jumps at everything in the paint, I mean, you'd probably be better off going with Dirk. But if you are playing that type of person, they can get some buckets. Or if they get an offensive rebound, they can get the putback. You guys know the easy layups anybody can make. Those are those guys. So with that being said, another sleeper player is Crowder. He can shoot. He's got like an 83. And he can also dunk the ball pretty well. So if you catch him slashing, he can do good things as well. But with that being said, that explains pretty much most of my lineup. Marion, I have him at the 4. That way your 1 through 4 can shoot. Again, I think I already said that. But that's pretty much the wrap-up of why we choose this lineup. Now, how do we want to play with this team? Again, we want to drive with Ellis and Carter and kind of do work with those two. Dirk is a lot better in the low post than he is in real life. So I definitely recommend using the post game with Dirk. I mean, his post fade is amazing, and he can really just do some really good things in the post. So you definitely want to take advantage of that with him and his shooting ability. And then, again, go to work with Harris, go to work with Ellis and Carter, and then just hit up the spot-up shooters on the outside when they help out. So that's how I like to play with the Mavs. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments below if you've tried them out or if you feel any differently any other way. And, you know, be sure to let me know if you want to see more teams in the future and which teams that would be in the comments below. But until the next time, guys, that's going to wrap it up. It's your boy, Monster Chappie. We gone!